Even though hunting whales has been basically illegal for about 25 years, a few countries still do it. Japan is one of those countries. They hunt hundreds of whales a year for what they call research, but then they sell the meat. Anti-whaling activists every year try to stop them, sometimes directly. The Sea Shepherd Conservation Society called the Japanese whaling fleet poachers, and they have aggressively confronted them on the open seas. Today in the frigid Southern Ocean off the shores of Antarctica, one of the 3 Sea Shepherd vessels trailing the Japanese whalers was sunk in very dramatic fashion. The 80 Gill is, or was, a speedboat made of carbon fiber and Kevlar. It's painted with radar-resistant black paint. It looks a little bit like Batman's boat circa 1966. And as you can see in this footage, the much larger Japanese vessel hit the 80 Gill. They ripped 8 feet of its bow right off. Each side is blaming the other. The anti-whaling activists accusing the Japanese boat of deliberately ramming the 80 Gill, and the Japanese whalers saying it was an accident, that they couldn't stop in time after the activists got too close while harassing them. No one was injured in the crash, which may be due in large part to the Bob Barker coming to their rescue. Not the Bob Barker, who will join us in a moment, but a boat called the Bob Barker, another boat that's operated by Sea Shepherd that they just named for the former host of The Price is Right. Bob Barker, the man, donated $5 million to the anti-whaling activists. They thanked him by naming this 1,200-ton ship after him. It's a former whaling ship itself. It can cut through ice and has the ability to stay out for 3 months at a time without refueling. This was the Bob Barker's first confrontation with whalers. It had to stop chasing the Japanese fleet to rescue the crew from the wrecked trimaran. But plans are that the Bob Barker, the boat, will stay out on the open seas chasing that Japanese fleet. It will soon be joined by the Sea Shepherd's flagship, which is called the Steve Irwin, named after, you get the picture. Joining us now for the interview, I'm so excited, is Bob Barker, the namesake of the anti-whaling ship, legendary television game show host. Mr. Barker, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Rachel. It's a pleasure to be with you.
What is it about the fight over whaling that sparked your interest?
Well, my interest is sparked by all animals. I work on all sorts of projects, and this one was brought to my attention by Nancy Burnett of United Activists for Animal Rights. She's been a longtime admirer of Sea Shepherd and had talked with me about what fine work they do, and she finally arranged for me to meet with Paul Watson. And I was so impressed with him, and he said during the conversation that we had that he had said in the past that if he only had $5 million, he could put the Japanese whalers out of business. And I said, I believe you. I said, I think you have the skills to do it. And I said, I have $5 million. Let's get it on. And that's what we did.
In terms of the tactics that are used here, I noticed that the New Zealand government responded to this today by calling for calm and restraint on both sides. Do you worry about how physical and dangerous the whale wars have become for the humans involved? I mean, not just the ramming of the boat today, but the Sea Shepherd activists aiming lasers at the whalers, throwing things on deck, the water cannon we saw today being shot at the activists. Do you worry about that?
Well, these things have happened over a period of time, but they have been going out there into the Antarctic for 6 years now, and they have an unblemished record of never injuring any one of the Japanese ships and never sustaining injuries. Now, today I've been told that one of these, I think there were 6 of them who went into the water from the ship that was sunk today, and one of them may have cracked ribs. But beyond that, no one's been injured, and it has not been this violent. And particularly for the Japanese to get so violent so soon, they have just come head-to-head out there in the last day or two, and already they have rammed this one ship, so this one boat. So it does portend problems, perhaps.
Have you spoken to anybody from the organization since today's incident? Do you know what they're expecting to do next?
Well, I haven't spoken with them, but I've read emails from them. And Paul Watson himself says that if the Japanese think that this is going to discourage him, that they're completely wrong. And he said they have made this a war, and he said we are not going to retreat. And I believe him. He's a man of great courage, and these people with him are all volunteers, and they too have great courage. And I think that they will stick with it. They want to sink the Japanese whaling fleet economically. They want to disrupt their harvests of the whales, destroy it if possible, and put them out of business, bankrupt them. That's what they're trying to do, and they're trying to do it as peacefully as they possibly can.
Mr. Barker, when I was growing up and watching The Price is Right, I didn't have any pets to spay or neuter, but hearing you say it at the close of every show made me think that that was probably a good idea, hypothetically. What started your interest in animal rights issues? Why did you take this on as the cause of your life?
Well, I became interested in the animal rights movement about probably 35 to 40 years ago. But I'd always loved animals, and I'd always had animals. I had pets when I was a small child. And the reason that I did that plug, and still do that plug, have your pets spayed or neutered, is because overpopulation of cats and dogs is one of the most tragic problems, so far as animals are concerned, in our country. There are just too many born for all of them to have homes. And there are people who are spending their time, their efforts, and their money trying to find homes for them. They're doomed to failure because the homes don't exist. And the obvious and only solution is to have your pets spayed or neutered.
Even just
so
hearing
if you have pets now, you do that.
Even just hearing you say it right now, I feel like I'm 9 and I'm sitting in front of the television and I'm watching you say, wait, I'm going to complete the image. All right. In addition to your activism, see, I've done this. In addition to your activism with the anti-whaling activists, can I just ask you what else you're doing now that you're retired? You retired after 35 years on The Price is Right and 50 years in television.
Well, I wrote a book, Priceless Memories, and all of the proceeds from the book go to the DJ&T Foundation, which subsidizes spay-neuters all over the country. So if you want to contribute to the spay-neuter, or try to help solve the problem of animal overpopulation, buy Priceless Memories.
Bob Barker, thank you so much for your time tonight, sir. I really appreciate the chance to talk with you.
Thank you, and thank you for your very complimentary remarks. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay. All right, I guess I better take this off. I'm going to save this for later.